to our viewers. Welcome to another episode of Peace Clinic. The Peace Clinic is brought to you by the Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management, and we are excited to have you join us on today's episode of the Peace Clinic. Once again, my name is Janet Michael, and I will be co-anchoring today's episode with Ambassador Joshua Tahuli. You're welcome, sir.
Janet, it's a pleasure to have another time with our audience today. And I must tell you, I'm glad to be here once again.
Oh, thank you for joining us, Ambassador. So once again, to our audience, we would love to have you in this conversation. We will be talking about an interesting topic. We always have an interesting topic when it comes to the Peace Clinic. So today we'll be looking at conflict resolution mechanisms in traditional African society. And we will start by looking into the African society. What is a typical African society all about, and its characteristics, and also the conflict resolution mechanism which have been used in the African traditional society, and how effective it has been in resolving conflict. So once again, thank you for joining us. And if you've been following us, the Peace Clinic, we will be projecting a slide so that we can have you actively participate. So as we talk about it, we would love for you to go through it and also, make a comment and ask your questions, and we will do well to attend to them. So once again, thank you for joining us as we commence on today's episode. So once again, we are looking at conflict resolution mechanisms in traditional African society. Now, we'll be talking about African society. What is African society? Or when we mention African society, what are we talking about? We are talking about a people who are diverse and rich in cultural heritage. We're talking about a people with unique social structure and values and way of life. And we will be looking at, what this society entails or what characterizes this society. But before we do that, we want to hear from Ambassador Joshua Tahule. So what can you say about the African society and what it entails?
Yes, Janet, thank you very much. We have different African societies structured differently with different values and morals. And we have multiple of them in Africa. In Nigeria here, we have so many traditional societies that practice different cultures, different way of life, and they have so many ethics that they follow as a people, as a group of people. We can call them nationalities. We in Africa, in Nigeria, for instance, we have the Hausa, Fulani, we have the Igbos, we have the Yorubas, we have the Ijaws, we have the Thieves, we have the Domans, we have the Igedes, we have the Baggies. All of these have different way of life, different culture, different attributes that distinguish them from other traditional societies, and they have different way of belief systems and different things that they fellowship and respect. Are you getting me? So they have different ways of resolving conflict as well, but they have one thing unique. The elders always have a vital role to play in these societies, and this is what we are here to discuss, so that we will know what different cultures or traditional societies are doing differently to resolve their own conflicts. And I think it's an interesting topic that we are going to discuss this evening.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you for that, Ambassador Joshua Tahuli. So to our audience, once again, we are glad you could join us. So we want to have you in this conversation. We are talking about the conflict resolution mechanisms in African traditional society. So do well to reach out to the comment section and let us know what you think about this topic. Ambassador Joshua has, spoken a lot about the African society, and he has given us an idea of what the African society looks like. And we will be proceeding to look at the characteristics. There are some he mentioned. He spoke about, the elders, respect for elders is among the characteristics of the African society. We have community oriented. The African society is communal in nature. They believe in communism and coming together to support and to belong to a particular society or association. So that is one major characteristic of the African society. We also have the oral tradition. Many African societies rely on oral tradition to pass down knowledge, from generation to generation. And just like the name implies, oral tradition, these traditions are being passed down by words of mouth. From one generation to the other, they are being told, stories to carry this tradition forward. So that is a vital characteristic of the African society. I mentioned the respect for elders. We have spirituality and animism. We have extended families and kingship network. We also have the traditional governance system. So in the traditional African society, these are the characteristics. The extended family. The extended family is so much prioritized. We have spiritualism, the belief in gods and deities, and the traditional governance system. So, Ambassador Joshua, what can you, add to this characteristic of the African society?
Yeah, Janet, thank you so much. I love the African society so much and tradition and the way of life in Africa. Do you understand? So in Africa, we believe in communism. We believe in coming together to solve our problems. We initiate community projects together. We have meetings to resolve our problems. It's a beautiful way of life. We eat together. Do you understand? I don't want to talk about extended families. You understand the meaning of extended family when you marry. As a married person, you know that you have so many queue of people to attend to. Okay, so it's beautiful. It makes you have a sense of belonging. Do you understand? It makes you know that you are not isolated. Okay, you have people that are looking onto you, and you also are looking onto. It's a queue of people. So it makes life beautiful. You cannot be isolated. You cannot be depressed. It's hard for you to see the issue of depression rampant in Africa. Why? Because of the way of life of the people, because we interact with people, we mingle, we have families, okay? We have people coming to stay with us, relations coming, it's always like that. So it makes it makes life beautiful, it makes life so interacting. I get a point now. So there's no way someone have an isolated life. If you decide to isolate yourself, you decide to isolate yourself. Otherwise, there are always people available to commune with, to discuss with, to dialogue, to, interact with. And that's the beauty about African society. So it makes us unique. It gives us a different experience as a people. Do you understand? So the African culture is actually beautiful, I must say.
I totally agree with you, Ambassador Joshua. The African society is actually beautiful, just like you said. The communal living, the identity, the fellowship, the sharing together. Everybody is responsible for everybody. Back in the days, as a child, you do not just have one parent. Every elder in the community is your parent. And once you misbehave, nobody is going to look for your parents. You will be disciplined there and there, and you'll be corrected. So there's this that joy, that collectiveness, children playing together. It's just beautiful all round. And to our viewers, we would love to hear from you what you think about the African society. I think we have a comment here from Mr. West. He said high level of synergy and in-depth communal living. That is true. That is very correct. The synergy is something else. Everybody's flowing together, and everybody has a sense of belonging and identity. So as we proceed, we are looking at the various mechanisms for resolving conflict in traditional African society. And before we proceed, the Peace Clinic is brought to you by the Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management. We are an institute, that is deeply interested in peace, peace as a grassroots, national peace, and also global peace. So we are looking at what are those mechanisms that were being used in the African society and how effective they were, and what we can learn from there and the places where they are applicable. So that is what we will be looking at. The first we are looking at from this mechanism is the restorative justice. Many African society emphasizes restoring harmony and balance within the community rather than focusing solely on punishment. And Ambassador Joshua, I think for one that this is what distincts the African traditional society and our current contemporary time. Because at this moment, people are just so focused on punishing somebody who has committed an offense. Society where people are being, everybody is seen as a family member, and once you commit an offense, they are more focused on not punishing. Well, the punishments could likely occur, but that is not a be corrected because they believe, oh, you are part of the family, oh, you share a common identity with us, and then the focus is how to make the person understand that what you have done is wrong and there's no need for you to do this. Okay, this is something that should not be done, instead of saying, oh, you have done this and you will be punished for it at the long. Ambassador.
Yeah, Janet, thank you very much. You have said a lot on this restorative justice. Now we are dealing with jungle justice. Do you understand? In our society today, we have what we call jungle justice. When there is an offense, when there is something, when there is something done wrong, instead of us to come together, discuss, and solve the problem in an acceptable way, now we take it to ourselves, take laws into our hands, and then we begin to, exhibit all of jungle justice here and there. People being, key community people, as in fellow community members, because of maybe he stole a goat or he stole a meat. It don't have to be like that. Somebody stole a goat, there should be a way of resolving the issue without killing the person. But nowadays, when somebody kill a goat, they carry the person, bring out tires, bring out fuel, and burn the person alive. Is that how we're supposed to be doing it? It was not done like this in those days. Okay. Yes, in those days, if they go to the extreme, and maybe the matter is an extreme issue, they banish you from the community, but not jungle justice, not killing. Do you understand? So restorative justice is a best platform, and I can tell you that when I go through some of these mechanisms used by the traditional African society, is what we are still advocating for today, because we are talking about ADR, that is alternative dispute resolution. And most of the things that we're discussing here are under ADR. Are you getting me? Because these are the best way we can resolve our problems without having a loser winner. Do you understand? Everybody must win. Do you understand? So that if we can balance the situation. That's what we're talking about. So restorative justice is very important. Where when there is an offense, we come together to see how we can provide a best solution for the problem, that everybody will accept it, everybody will smile home with it, no matter what the offense is. Not this kind of jungle justice that we are experiencing nowadays. We hear stories where people are being killed, nobody is patient enough to sit down to discuss a problem. Even the elders themselves are lost. Do you understand? The elders are not giving the direction that the young ones should follow. So it's a problem. So we need to come together to begin to look at some of these things, some of these measures that our elders then use to solve problems, instead of killing somebody by taking arms against somebody, or because somebody stole a goat. How much is a goat that you kill the whole human life because of one goat? Do you understand? So it's not the best way to go. I think restorative justice is the best mechanism to deploy to resolve some of the problems in such a way that everybody will smile home and it will be acceptable for everybody.
Wow, interesting, interesting. And just to add to what you have said concerning restorative justice, I believe for one that the African society, there's this spirit of forgiveness. Okay, when somebody has wronged you, it was very easy to forgive and to just okay, let's just settle it, let's work towards resolving the conflict, and before you know it, the conflict is resolved and everything is back to normal. Gone are those days, and not in our present time where somebody offends you and you would want to fight tooth and nail to make sure that the person actually pays deeply for it. And even after the conflict is being resolved, there's this enmity between the parties. It seems like the conflict has created um, a drift where the two parties can never come to a point of settlement or a point of agreement. And that's unlike the African traditional society where regardless of the offense being committed, the issue is resolved, everybody comes to a point of understanding, and there's mutual acceptance and resolution. So we will be proceeding to the next. We'll be talking about mediation. Mediation also is a very important mechanism that was used in the African traditional society. Mediation by neutral third parties, often respected elders or community leaders, was a common way to resolve conflict. Ambassador Joshua, can you tell us more about this?
Janet, thank you so much. In every community, we have respected elders and leaders. Do you understand? We have people that we look onto, people that we hold to high esteem, that we say, okay, this person, you are looking at them as if they are a role model. Okay, so whatever they do, we try to copy it. We try to follow their footsteps. Are you gonna point out? We can talk about our parents. Okay, the family heads, the clan heads, the kindred heads, and all of them. We look at them as people that define the direction the society should flow. Okay, so when we have such people in the community, and so whenever there is an issue, we delegate some of these people to mediate in the matter. Okay, because we know that if they go, they will say the truth. They will stand on the path of truth. They will not side anybody. They will make sure that the problem is resolved mutually. Okay, so this kind of people we have them in our society, and they come in, they are third parties, trusted individuals within the community. And I can tell you that it's not just in the community, but even in our society today, we have people that we look onto. For instance, let's look at the church. For instance, now the church, sometimes we look at the pastor or the imam. In the case of Islam, we look at the imams as people who have who are trusted to some extent. You understand? And we can confide in them, and we can trust them to help us to resolve our problem. Do you understand? So when there's a matter, sometimes family disputes, they can take to the pastor, to imam, to share with the person if the person is trustworthy. Are you getting a point now? I'm not talking about some pastor that misbehave or some imams that misbehave. I'm talking about people that are trustworthy in their community, in the congregation where they lead. I get a point now. So the congregants bring their matters to them for them to help them to resolve issues. I get a point now. So we have such people around us in the community, in our local associations. There are people that we can say, oh, sir, there's a problem, go and intervene. Okay, so they come and intervene in the matter and resolve disputes. So that's what mediation is all about. A trusted third party who can, the parties, the disputants, put their confidence in to help them resolve their problem. And they have been playing that part. And it was so pronounced in those days, unlike now. Now, even in the church, people are going to court. They have a problem with a fellow church member, they carry the matter to court. Some even take their pastors to court. I get a point now. So this is a problem now, because people are so powerful now. People are so rich. So the problem is that people are not even willing to come to a point whereby they can reach compromise on a particular problem. They want to go to court because I have money. I am rich, I can take you to anywhere, I can deal with you. So it's, but then it wasn't like that. In the community, they have people that they respect, that set standard, that when they say something, they accept it once. Do you understand? So that's how it is. So mediation to that part. So a trusted third party is always there, and it has been in practice, and we are still now agitating for it. Instead of going to court, find a way to resolve your problem. It's beneficial, it saves cost, it saves time, and our people then used to, spend less time to solve problems. But nowadays, you see problems are lingering. I get a point now. Why? Because we choose the other way, not the way of mediation. And so it's not helping the matter. And that's why we are seeing so many conflicts in the society today, because everybody is heading to court. No, come, let's sit at the community level and resolve the problem. Let's still have, and another thing is that, Janet, we have come to a generation whereby we are lacking the elders that are so trusted. If you see somebody that you feel you can put your trust in, the very matter you discuss with a person, the next day you hear it here, and the next day you hear it in another place. I get a point now. So it's where the value is no longer there because of the nature of elders we are even having in our societies today. Some lied, they lied to a point that because they can lie on top of anything to get whatever they want. So another problem is that we are not having the kind of elders we used to have then. And that's why there's so much disrespect to elders in our societies today. You see an elder saying something, a young person is not going to listen to it. Why? The elders also have lost their position because of the way they behave. Most of these elders we have we don't know whether we should even regard them as elders at all. No standard at all, no value, no moral value whatsoever. So these things has decayed to a point that young people don't respect elders again. So the issue of mediation has been kept aside. It's just kept aside. Nobody's using mediation again to resolve community problems. Everybody's going to court. Everybody's resorting to violence to settle problems. It shouldn't supposed to be so. So I think mediation was one of the major instruments our forefathers used to resolve problems, and the society was more peaceful than the way it is today. Jenna, are you still there? So mediation is a very key and critical mechanism to resolve community problems. If we have people that are trusted, that you can say, you can go to sleep and say, this person I know, he will go there and solve the problem. Then you can delegate them, they'll go and solve the problems. It can be a community of, it can be a council of elders, a matter a community matter, because you can see nowadays people take side. Elders, okay, it's supposed to be neutral, but they are taking side. No, you are not supposed to take side. Deal with the matter the way it is. Some are being bribed, some with maybe a bottle of wine is enough to bribe somebody to be on your side. No, it shouldn't be so. So then elders will even refuse to even eat anything that is belonging to any of the parties in conflict. I get a point on because they want to resolve problems and they want to be neutral so far as the conflict is concerned. They don't want to take side for any reason. And so they refuse eating food, they refuse even taking drinks, they refuse taking anything from any of the parties. Simply because they want to be a neutral party and resolve the problem the way it's supposed to be. Because if you go and collect money or food from somebody, you begin to speak from two sides of your mouth, and then it will not make sense again. You understand? So these things were there and they were helping our societies to be better. But the society have decayed to a point that elders take bribe and take side and then pass judgment that is not supposed to be so. Or begin to, in the course of mediation, begin to apportion blames. And as a mediator, you don't apportion blames. You only facilitate. You help the parties in conflict to resolve their own problem. You don't even enforce anything. I get a point now. But you try to lay emphasis on what the disputants are saying to help them resolve their conflicts amicably. And that's how it's supposed to be. So it's not about you go and then take side and then cause conflict in the effort to resolve conflict. Sometimes some of the elders, the way they talk in conflict situation, in attempt to resolve conflict, they create more conflict and confusion in the process than the way it was when they came in. So it's better that if you know that you cannot be able to maintain neutrality, you should rather even forget about involving yourself in intervening in any conflicting situation whatsoever. If we can learn how to resolve conflict amicably and neutrally as a third party, it's going to be better. And it will make our society so beautiful.
Interesting. Thank you, Ambassador Joshua, and apologies for the glitch in network service. So as we proceed, we were talking about mediation. We were talking about mediation, and you spoke extensively on mediation. So next, we'll be proceeding to Next, we'll be proceeding to dialogue and consensus building. Traditional African society often valued open dialogue and consensus building as a way to resolve conflict. Community meetings or gatherings will be held where everyone had a chance to speak and contribute to finding a solution. And I think this was, a very important aspect, and it still is an important aspect of the mechanism used in resolving conflict in the African society, where people are made to dialogue, especially conflicting parties. Everybody comes out, because when a conflict happens in the African society, it is everybody's conflict. It's not just the conflicting parties, because in a way it affects everybody. If okay, let's say for example, a conflict is happening in a family, it's not just that family, everybody is involved, including the community rulers. Because if a conflict begins to rise from that family and it is not being addressed or treated, it could escalate and become a community crisis. So everybody is responsible for resolving that conflict. So everybody comes together and dialogue is being made. Everybody is allowed to speak. And the person who has been hurt or offended speaks. The person who created the offense also speaks. And at the end of the day, that conflict is resolved, and everybody moves on, and everything is at peace. I think that is a very interesting aspect of the African traditional society. So, Ambassador Joshua, what can you add to this?
Yes, giving people a platform to express their feelings is very important. When you give people opportunity and a platform to express their feelings and dialogue to reach understanding over a particular matter, whether it's about land, it's about property, it's about anything. And these are valuable things that people often have conflict over. Okay, natural resources. So sometimes we need to discuss and understand how and to whom this particular property or resource belongs to, or how it can be equitably shared and distributed. So if we come together to discuss some of these problems, it will give us an opportunity to agree on certain plans or action steps that we can be able to take to make sure that we resolve whatever dispute we are having, whatever differences we are facing. So coming together to dialogue is very important in every aspect of our lives, whether in every association, community level, societal level, association, we need to dialogue. Whenever there is a misunderstanding, sit together, discuss the issue so that you understand it better and define action steps to take to resolve the problem. And that is the point of consensus that we're talking about here. So it's helped to resolve conflicts quickly and then sustain peace in our society.
Interesting. That is interesting. Now, at this point of dialogue and consensus building, just like you mentioned, everyone's voice is heard and the conflict is resolved at the moment. Unlike our present time where you have to go to court for a month. A court case is becoming something that was going to court almost every week, every month, and then it takes the time span of a year to resolve a conflict. But in the traditional society, when this type of dialogue is being made, everybody is asked to speak, and at that moment, the conflict is resolved and everybody moves on. It helps to save time, helps to save resources, and I think that is also an interesting aspect of it. So the next we'll be looking at is the customary law and tradition court. These are also well established. They're also well established customary law and traditional courts in the African traditional society where cases are being handled. These courts were often presided over by elders or chiefs and focus on finding solutions that align with community values. And when we're talking about the African society, values are important. There are certain values and certain beliefs that everyone understands that at every point in time, these values should be held in high priority. So when there's a conflict, the traditional courts come together, call on the conflicting parties, and those conflicts are being resolved based on community values, community beliefs, and the community ideologies. So, Ambassador Joshua, we would love to hear from you concerning this.
Yes, we have customary laws and traditional, codes that settle some of these issues. And we are talking about, traditional code. We're talking about customary law. We have each society or each tribe most of the times have the way they handle marital issues. Okay, so and they have a kind of traditional or customary laws that guide how marriage should take place, how conflicts should be resolved. If there is a conflict, where do you report to? Most of the times, most societies they report to the king or the traditional head, the community head. You understand? Who now call for maybe meetings of the elders to discuss some of these things. They operate like a coach. They operate like a coach because they have certain standards and procedures that they follow to resolving matters. And if the matter is beyond the community or the family head or the clan's head to resolve, they push it to the next level, just like when we have a case starting from maybe the high court, move to appeal court, to the Supreme Court, and that's how it moves, even at the traditional level. We have different stages where they resolve conflict. If it happens, like for instance, now in the Igbo land, we have what we call family heads. If the family head cannot resolve, it moves to the next heads of authority to the point that it gets to the Igwe. Okay, Igwe have his community of elders and the Unus. They are there. They come together to look at the matter critically and make sure that they solve the problem and resolve the conflict. So it's operates in that order. So there is a definite procedure to follow to resolve some of these conflicts at the traditional and in a traditional way. It's not the matter of you go to court, hire a lawyer to come and speak for you. No, okay, but you know who are responsible. You know that we have heads, we have people that have been designated to handle certain matters. And if the matter is beyond them, they pass it to they escalate it to the next level, and like that until get to the higher authority in the community who sit together to look on the matter. So they operate like a court, okay? And but even in our culture, in our country here, we have what we call the customary code. Okay, it may not be necessarily called the traditional code. There are certain matters that you cannot take it to other, like the high court, the appeal court. They have to go and resolve it at the customary court. We have the Sharia laws. Do you understand? There are certain matters that are Sharia oriented, so it has to be settled at the Sharia court, not even in the other English code. So we have those courts that are there, and they resolve conflicts. And some of them don't even have something like the constitutional backing. They don't have constitutional backing, but we know that they are in existence, and you follow them to resolve the problem. The community people knows the procedure, they knows the standard that has been set to resolve such problems, so they follow them to resolve them.
Interesting. Thank you for that, Ambassador Joshua. We also have the oaths and the rituals. The oaths and rituals were sometimes used to resolve conflicts by invoking spiritual or supernatural forces to ensure that agreements were upheld. And this is very unique to the African traditional society, where they believe in gods and deity. And for conflicts to be resolved, most times you have to take an oath or go through a series of ritual, and they would use that to ascertain that, okay, this particular individual or this group of people are actually being honest with their response concerning this conflict or concerning this issue. So they deal with invoking spiritual, supernatural forces, the oracle, the gods, the deity, and they believe that whatsoever response those deity gives at that point is actually the final say. And if the oracle or the deity says, oh, this person, it has a way of influencing the final decision of that particular conflict. So the traditional rulers, the people, bring in their belief system into the conflict to ensure that the conflict is being resolved amicably, and there is no loopholes that are left at the end of the day. What can you say about this, Ambassador?
Yes, Jenny, this is a very important aspect of the traditional religion and the traditional societies to settle problems. I get a point. Now, we believe we have gods and deities that we believe in, and there are so many communities that are still practicing those things. Like in the Igbo land, we have such. Okay, and when they felt that okay, we have resolved a matter, and everybody agreed to a certain terms of the matter, then they go to the deity so that everybody will swear and take an oath that what I have agreed upon here, I'm not going to change anything. I'm not going to go back and start war again. And tomorrow I will not wake up and begin to deny that I did not say anything there, because you are swear an oath, you are taking an oath that you are going to abide by what you have agreed here, and that you are going to make sure that you are going to implement whatever agreement you people have reached. Do you understand? Because if this thing is not done, sometimes people will go and say, well, I did not say anything like that, and then they return back to fighting. I get a point now. So it's not so. In my own tradition, we have what we call the swim. Okay, in those days, people used to swear to swim. Okay, so you cannot go back and denounce what you have said, because when we deal with you very severely, are you getting a point now? So, but over time now, we don't even consider swim again. Like in my own place now, the Totif himself now doesn't even believe in swim. He's a Christian, a born-again Christian. Do you understand? But in those days, we used swim to, curtail some of the issues. If somebody is causing trouble in the community, I mean, they'll just come and swear. Okay, if we have somebody that we know as a witchcraft or a wizard killing people in the society anyhow, they will call you to come and swear that you are not responsible for these people's death. And if you are responsible, so when we debt with you that you will never forget in your life. Are you get a point now? And so these things were there, and they were practicing it. In fact, even at some point, even now, despite the fact that we have advanced in religion, people are still crumbling for some of these things because they see how beneficial they were to help to regulate the society. I get a point now. And I can tell you that in some typical African traditions, some of these things are still in play. You understand? People are still using them. And if you can watch Nigerian film act by Igbos, you can see they are always using those things to, to reflect the Igbo culture. I get a point on how it's being used there. So it's very, very important. It's very important. It helps to play a major role in solving some of the problems because people respected some of these deities. Okay, and so the because of the belief system and how some of these things manifest, once you swear to it, you have to abide by it. Otherwise, you face some certain consequences, and nobody wants to face those consequences. So, as a result, it helps to bring about peace, and it's about resolving the conflict the way it has been agreed. So, they play a vital role in helping to resolve conflicts in our societies. Not this kind of things that we're seeing today. In fact, today, somebody will go before some of these deities and swear and still go scot-free, nothing will happen to. Do you understand? So this is the issue. Because some of those things are not, it's like they're not even powerful like in those days then. Now somebody can even go and lie before those deities and go his own way and nothing happens. Why there are some of them that are still relevant and useful and are still being deployed to resolve certain problems in the society.
I totally agree with you, Ambassador Joshua Tahule. So we will be proceeding. We will be looking at the next over here we'll be talking about is
Yes, but I have omitted any problem. I think Janet is having a network problem. Let's we have little time to reconnect and join us.
We sincerely apologize for the network glitch. So if you are still with us, we would love to have you in this conversation. So reach out to the comment section and let us know what you think about this topic. We are talking about conflict resolution mechanisms in the African society. So we have taken quite a few. We have spoken about restorative justice, spoken about mediation, dialogue, and consensus building, customary law, traditional court. We still have a few to go. We have restitution and compensation. We have oaths and rituals, social pressure and community sanction, and also arbitration. So due to time, we would quickly take the social pressure and community sanction and also the arbitration. And we would love Ambassador Joshua, to speak to us about arbitration as a mechanism used in the African traditional society to resolve conflicts. Ambassador Joshua.
Yes, Janet. And the arbitration, it operates like a court process. Okay, an arbitrator can enforce certain decisions. So in a traditional African society, sometimes we bring some people that enforce such decision. They can, have the power to, read out some certain things and ask the parties to comply with, okay, based on certain factors or based on the story he has, heard concerning the matter, he may be able to rule out certain things. So an arbitrator can do such, okay? So, but arbitrator also must be neutral. He must not show interest in anything. Okay, as an arbitrator, he should also not show interest in anything. And that was the beauty of the whole matter. You don't go into a matter to go and destroy it, but rather to go and build it. And so, like I said before, whether a mediator or an arbitrator, you don't seek to collect anything from the disputant. Because once you collect anything, you begin to, take side, and then that affects the process. So arbitration was also used, and then at the end of the day, it's being documented. And those things that are documented become enforceable. Okay, that is, you have agreed on something, you cannot go back and begin to change and tell stories, is because what they have agreed and the arbitrator have signed, they can, even if they take them to court, the court will honor such agreement. The court will honor such document as an evidence because you agreed for the person that was appointed or that was arbitrating the issue. And whatever that person arrived at and has been documented and you have agreed and has been documented and signed by you, then it becomes an evidence. It becomes an evidence to be tendered anywhere in the court of law or even at the community level anywhere. And if they read it in the community council meeting, the community members will all agree that you have agreed to this, and so you have to take responsibility for it. I get a point on. So that's how arbitration works.
Interesting. We have seen the several mechanisms used in the traditional conflict resolution in African society, and as we have seen, this mechanism emphasizes community involvement, consensus building, and restoring harmony rather than punitive measures. Unlike our contemporary society, where Ambassador Joshua spoke about the jungle justice. Everybody seems like they are responsible for punishing everybody. Back in those days, nobody take laws into their hands. It's only the elders, the rulers, the chiefs. They are the ones who are responsible for if peradventure the person who committed the offense should be punished. They are responsible for stating what kind of punishment should be given to that person. Unlike our time where everybody feels like it is their responsibility, and somebody might just be walking on the street and then he sees somebody committing an offense and he just goes into action. And unfortunately, we have seen several incidents of jungle justice in our midst as a society, and that is actually quite unfortunate. So we will be proceeding from here. We will be looking at instances where these mechanisms have been put to use. We will be looking at practical examples. We have quite a lot in Nigeria. We have the Yoruba community. The Yoruba people of Nigeria have a long tradition of using mediation and arbitration to resolve conflict. The Oyo Mercy Council, for example, is a traditional body of elders that have historically played a key role in resolving disputes among the Yoruba people. And I remember back in the days where we were taught in schools about the Oyo Mercy Council, which is a body that is responsible for resolving conflicts. Once there is an issue, the body comes into place and the conflict is being resolved. We also have from the Igbo community, we have the OSU. It's a system that has been a source of conflict management, conflict resolution. The traditional mechanisms such as community meetings and mediation have been used to address disputes arising from the system. So there are several of them. We also have in Nigeria, we have the Hausa Fulani community, which is also a mechanism used for conflict resolution. The use of the village head, the religious leader, to mediate disputes and restore peace within the community. And I think that for one, these measures that have been used are also common, although they are not so common in our contemporary time, but they have been effective measures, and there are still people, who still believe in such mechanism of conflict management and conflict resolution, and they have been in existence ever since the African traditional society. And I think for one that is quite interesting. So Ambassador Joshua, let's hear from you, please.
Yes, we have had traditional institutions that are using these measures to bring about peace in their communities, and they have been existing for quite a long time. We talk about the Oyo Empire. This thing has been out there, and the Oyo Empire is one of the popular empire in the western part of Nigeria, southwestern part of Nigeria, and the Oyomesi is a council of elders, majorly numbering like 7 of them, being appointed by Alaufin of Oyo. Okay, and so they are the respected elders that have been appointed by Alaufin to handle such issues. So whatever they sit and decide, it's final. Okay, they are the council of chiefs, very respected, high-ranking officers in their community. You understand? So once they come and settle a matter, it stands. They have the power to decide. So, and that's how it works in Oyo Empire. Do you understand? And these were effective tools to resolving conflicts. It was one of the effective tools to resolving conflicts. And they have been using it, and even till today, they are still using it. The Yoruba respect the elders so much. Do you understand? That's why they prostrate. Okay, when once they see them, they prostrate as a mark of honor. The elders, okay, and the traditional rulers, they respect them so much. So they have so much authority, and so they use them as a major instrument to resolve conflict. And so it was beneficial in those societies then. Nowadays, it's there, but it's not as effective as compared to those days. Okay, and then we talk about the Osu. Osu is just a kind of a discriminated set of people in the Igbo land. Do you understand? And it has been causing conflict because they are looked as an outcast, okay, in Igbo land, and they are not allowed to participate in certain things or to even involve in certain things, even to a point of even marriage issues. They are not allowed to marry with normal people, Igbo people, okay? So it has been a source of conflict anyway. But like mediation and the dialogue has been deployed to resolve such conflicts. You understand? So because we have such kind of people that have been regarded as outcasts, and they were not allowed to participate in anything like a normal Igbo person will participate. So it has been source of conflicts in Igbo land, but the deployment of mediation, dialogue, community meetings has helped to resolve such conflicts. Do you understand? That's why you are not been hearing about such conflicts, but they are there in existence. Okay, and then the Hausa people, of course, have a good culture of respect to elders. They respect their religious leaders. They respect their elders a lot. Whatever they say, their traditional rulers, whatever they say, they always agree with it. You know, one of the society of traditional communities that respect their elders so much is the Hausa people. Do you understand? Whatever their leaders, whether the religious leaders or the traditional rulers says, they follows it. Okay, they follows it and obey it. So they use this instrument to resolve conflict in those days, and so they can mediate. And once they mediate and the matter is resolved, nobody is going to renew it because the man or the emir has spoken. So once the emir spoke, it stands. Do you understand? So that is just it.
Interesting. Thank you, Ambassador Joshua. So next we'll be looking at Ghana. We have the Akan community. The Akan people of Ghana have a system of traditional councils and chiefs who play a crucial role in resolving disputes within the community. This council often use mediation and arbitration to address conflicts and maintain social order. And we can see here that mediation and arbitration, are a common medium used in the African society to restore conflicts. In Kenya, we have the Masi community. The Masi people of Kenya have a long history of using traditional elders and councils to resolve conflicts within the community. Disputes over land, livestock, or social issues are often resolved through mediation and consensus building. We also have in South Africa, we have quite a number of them, but we will be looking at just a few. We have the Zulu community. The Zulu people have a traditional structure such as the Induna Council that are responsible for resolving conflicts and maintaining order within the community. These councils use mediation, arbitration, and customary law to resolve conflict. So it's actually quite interesting, seeing a number of this body or institution created in the African traditional society to resolve conflict. This is to let us know that at every point, conflict is an issue and there's need for conflicts to be addressed. That even in the African society, back in the days where there were no civilization, there was no technology, the people still saw conflict as a major obstacle. And at every point, the tool of mediation, arbitration, and consensus, and all the other mechanisms used in resolving conflicts are being deployed to ensure that conflicts do not escalate, and that at every point in time, every conflict, regardless of how minute it is being resolved. Just like Ambassador Joshua mentioned earlier, he said when there's a crisis, within two individuals, and it cannot be handled among themselves, they move it to the family. And when the family cannot handle it, it's being moved, and in that progression, the aim is that that conflict is resolved, and everybody lives in peace and harmony. So we are coming into the conclusion of this topic. We were looking at the conflict resolution mechanism in African traditional society. So as we conclude, Ambassador Joshua, what can you say to us about this topic, and what is your advice to our contemporary society where we see conflict, we see international conflict, we see conflict at every point in time. So what can you say to us about this mechanism that are being used in the African traditional society, and how we can replicate them and borrow from them to make sure that every conflict we have is being resolved at every point in time?
Okay, Janet, thank you very much. As part of conclusion on this topic, I want to tell you that I realize African societies have one thing in common, which is the place for the elders. The elders have a place in our societies to resolve conflict. And the tools for resolving conflicts are always there. Mediation, arbitration, they are established tools that we have been using to resolve conflicts traditionally. I get a point on, they are there. And customary laws, they are there. So, but the thing to worry about now, Janet, is the nature and the caliber of aiders we have in our society. Caliber of aiders that are eager to take bribe, those that are eager to tarnish their image on a pot of a porridge. I get point on. That is give away their reputation, give away their image, and forget about any value just because they want to get certain amount of money from someone or get something of value from someone, and then they forget about reputation, they forget about values and the morals that the society is looking out to them to build for them to follow. That's why the society is so destroyed and so decayed, because the aiders have lost their place in the society today. Now the question and what me and you are worried about is the place of the aiders in our society today. What kind of role the aiders are playing in our society today to resolve conflicts? Once there's a matter in the community and you ask a particular aider to go and resolve it, he go and scatters. In fact, make sure that the conflict even escalated. Do you understand? Because of their attitude, because of the manner to which they go into the issue to resolve it. So the issue now to worry is not even the mechanism that have been used to resolve conflict, but the people using the mechanism to resolve the conflict are now constituting the problem, that we are finding it difficult to resolve problems. And that's why issues are becoming so difficult to handle, because the community aiders, the aiders are not speaking the truth again. They are not on the path of truth. They are not on the path of value. They are not on the path of justice. They just want to get whatever they can get from anybody that is involved and go their own way. So these things are affecting the society negatively. But I can tell you that these mechanisms are very, very effective. They have been used, we growing up and we saw how these things have been used even in my own community. And it was very effective. But what is happening nowadays that small conflicts over dispute of land, they cannot resolve it. It escalates, fight, destroy, and because somebody is refusing to speak the truth. Even the ego is refusing to say the truth. The imams, the emirs, they are refusing to say the truth. The family elders are so the society has. And so the issue, what I'm trying to say is that the elders should return and take their own place and show the path where the society should follow, where the young ones should follow. When tomorrow they are not there, then we will begin to know that, okay, this is what our fathers were doing and we should be doing it for the betterment of our society. But the way it is going, and I can tell you for sure that the elders are losing their position. Do you understand? Children of nowadays, young people doesn't respect the elders. And why are they not respecting them? Because of the way they have behaved. Okay, some of them have misbehaved. Some of them have done things that ordinary young people will not do. So how can you expect me to go and respect such an elder? Do you understand? So this is where the problem is. Because some of these instruments that we talk about are being used by elders to resolve conflict. Based on what we have discussed here. Yes, the young people may have, when it comes to dialogue, yes, the young people may have a part to contribute as well. I get a point now, because everybody's given an opportunity and a platform to say something, okay? But the conclusion of the matter is the elders have the final say, okay, on these matters. And nowadays, people don't trust anybody. In fact, if you go to my community now, we look at everybody as a wizard or a witch. Do you understand? So I cannot go and put my trust in anybody to come and intervene in my issue. We are refusing to go to the village again because all the village people, elders, are witches and wizards. So we cannot go. If you go and begin to discuss something with them, in fact, it's as if you become a target for destruction. Do you understand? So elders should take their place and be on the path of truth. That is the truth. If you want young people to trust you and respect you, then be on the path of truth. If there's a matter, speak the truth. And don't go and collect any bribe or any form of gratification from anybody to just take side. Just refuse it. No form of inducement whatsoever. If they bring it, you refuse it, and if they don't want it, just design from it. If you are assigned to be to mediate in any matter, say, I'm not going to mediate again, let another person be appointed. And your name will be clean. Do you understand? So that's how it is. So elders should take their place in the society. Otherwise, I'm telling you, the society is decayed to a point that young people are not respecting the elders. So it's becoming practically impossible to resolve even communal. Somebody steal a goat and they cannot resolve the matter until somebody is being killed on account of somebody stealing a goat. So acquire. I mean, I'm talking about goats, small goats like this. I get a point now. So where are we going? So where is the place of restorative justice? Justice again. Where is it? So we need to actually look into some of these things. The elders should take their place and behave like elders. Some elders doesn't have even composure at all. When they see food, they are scattered. When they see money, at your age, what are you looking for? Money? What do you want? Where do you want to take the money? Because at your age, you're supposed to be building values for young ones to follow, not to be so much desiring money. What will you do with the money? Some of them even don't even have the teeth to eat the meat. If we even give them meat to eat now, they lack teeth to eat meat. So why are you so uncomposed when you see food? I get a point now. And then you cannot say the truth. So the traditional society respect has a place for the elders, but the elders are losing that place. So the elders should come back and take their place and begin to speak like elders that should be respected. And by so doing, this instrument we have mentioned here can easily be used and can be as effective tools to be used to resolve any kind of conflict whatsoever without going to court. And that's why people are not going to the elders, they go to court instead. Do you understand? Because the elders are not being frank and truthful in their dealings. So elders should look into their attitude and retake their position and act like leaders that should be trusted and should be respected. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Joshua Tabule. This is a clarion call to our elders to take their place. Just like you mentioned, in the African society, it is actually believed that age comes with wisdom, and that was why the elders were, given that position of authority, to use their wisdom to resolve conflict in any and in every form. And unfortunately, it's quite unfortunate that it seems the elders in our current society have actually lost that place or that sense of authority, especially in the eyes of the young people. So this is a call to for our elders to take their place and let their voice carry that authority as we have seen in the African society. So as we conclude and come to an end of today's episode, we appreciate you, Ambassador Joshua, for joining us. And we also appreciate our audience, our viewers, those that commented. We are seeing your comments and we deeply appreciate it. Once again, this clinic is brought to you by the Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management. So to know more about the Institute, you can visit us at www.igpcm.com.ng, and you can contact us via email at igpcminfo@gmail.com, or you can call us on these numbers +234 703 345 8730 or +234 8141 569400. You can do well to follow us on all our social media handles. We are on YouTube, we are on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn as Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management. You can also find us on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Twitter at IGPCM. So once again, we appreciate you for joining us. We looked at the topic, conflict resolution mechanism in traditional African society. So thank you and see you in the next episode of the Peace Clinic. Thank you, Ambassador Joshua, for joining us.
tomorrow by 2 p.m. Thank you.